Hello my viewers, thank you very much for logging in to this lesson 2 of HTML. So what is HTML? HTML is a hypertext markup language. It's a markup language for creating websites or web pages. So many people interact with web pages or websites on their day-to-day basis. For instance, so many people use Facebook. Some people interact with websites such as Telegram, Instagram, TikTok. So these websites that run on the browser are made up of HTML. HTML websites are made using this language for the browser to understand. Just like you will use a Microsoft Word to write text, messages, and information, also electronic messages. Also, HTML is a language, also a platform where you can write a language that the web browser will use to display information for the user. As a standalone language for creating website, HTML is a document of text, is a document full of text, and these texts are called codes. And these codes are understood by the web browsers to read and display the codes, and the browser understands them so that the user can interact with the browser. So you must understand there is a relationship between the HTML and the browser, and there is a relationship between the user and the browser. The browser understands the language of HTML, and the user understands the language that is displayed to them from the browser. HTML describes the structure of a web page. Web page is made of structures of HTML, which consist of series of elements. HTML elements tells the browser how to display the content. For example, let's say for instance, you are making a building. What do you need? You need blocks of stones for the building to stand as the building. You cannot call stones building, but when the stones are put together, then you change the name into a building. So HTML also has a building blocks, also known as tags, and we will get to know and understand about tags. But for this second series, I just want you to understand what is HTML. So it is a markup language that is used to create codes for the browser to understand. As the name explains, HTML describes the structure of a web page. HTML consists of series of elements. HTML elements tell the browser how to display the content. What is a web browser? A web browser includes, we have several web browsers that people interact with, and every person has their best web browser. For instance, some of the people will use Firefox browser, some people will use Google Chrome browser, some people will use Explorer as the browser. We have Brave browser and Opera Mini as a browser. All these browsers take information from HTML. All the browsers read HTML and display it to you as a user to interact with. All the information that you see on the website, all the information that you see on the on the social sites, on the website that you interact with, all this information are contained in HTML but displayed to you via browser. HTML is the foundation of every website. That is a core point, a very big point that you should understand as the person who is starting this lesson. HTML is the foundation of every website that you see on the browser, that you interact with, and that you use on the browser. For instance, some people will use www.facebook.com. Some people will use different sites. All these sites are held by the browser, and these browsers are, as we've told you before, HTML is made of tags, and these tags are the building blocks. You remember I told you about, if you want to make a house, you need stones to put these stones together so that these stones can make a house. So HTML is made up of tags, and these tags are the stones. So when you want to make a website, first you have to introduce HTML, then introduce these stones, also called tags, in HTML. Just as a building, I've told you, a building made of blocks. The blocks are called tags. So these blocks are called tags, which makes the building complete. So for you to make a website complete, you need HTML. For you to use HTML, you need tags. And we will learn and understand what are tags and what is an HTML tag. I want you to understand first thing in this lesson, number one, the meaning of HTML, Hyper Text Markup Language. Then understand number two, it is a markup language for creating web pages. Also number three, HTML describes the structure of a web page. HTML consists of a series of elements. HTML elements tell the browser how to display. So how many things do we have? We have HTML as the foundation. We have the language for creating web pages. And we have HTML again describing the structure of a web page. And these web pages are displayed using web browsers. So before we write HTML codes, let us first get to know where do we write these codes for the browser to read and to display for the user. For you to write the HTML codes, you need a place to write, just the way you write on papers, you write on books, you write messages on phone, you write documents on Microsoft Word. Also with HTML as a structure, it is a structure and a foundation that contains codes. So you need a place to write your codes. Let's meet in our third classes as we discuss about the code editors, so that we know before we start writing HTML, where do we write these codes. So join me as we're going to introduce you to HTML editors or text editors as we start to write our HTML codes. So let us prepare our book, our place of work, our place of writing, so that we can write. Where do we write our codes? Thank you very much. Join me in the next lesson, number 3, as I take you to the code book. I call them code book.